The Diablo 4 PTR is finally coming to an end, and I spent a good amount of time in it. Thursday was probably my last night because I didn't feel like doing the full grind, but I did a fair grind in it, and this is kind of my final thoughts on the changes coming in Season 8 of Diablo 4. So let's dive in together. Alright, so let's first talk about the season mechanic, the boss powers. I think the boss powers are pretty good. They're fun. They're kind of the same as witch powers or vampire powers in that same essence. So it doesn't feel super new, but it's still a fun mechanic to kind of play around. Although they do seem like they can get pretty overpowered, and almost feels like the game is going to be balanced a little around this, based on some of the things I've been seeing here where people are using these powers to push that higher level content, and that is one of the things I don't know how I feel about. I'd be really interested to see how Eternal characters are holding up in the push in Season 8 moving forward without the boss powers. As for the bossing event to get the Abyssal Shards to upgrade your powers, event outside of getting those shards feels very under rewarding. It's almost not worth doing in the progress of leveling up from 1 to 60. You really shouldn't start doing it until you get to at least Torment 1, and even then it's still not rewarding enough in the gear sector, so you probably are only going to do it when you need a little bit of power upgrades for your boss powers. The world boss powers are extremely powerful, so during your journey from 1 to 60, I highly recommend you actually make sure you do those boss fights. And they also are a great area to get some of your first legendaries moving into the end game. So make sure you do that so you can get those boss powers. The new boss ladder is, I think, fine. It's, in theory, it is fine, the new changes to the bosses, but there are problems around this still. So the difficulty increase is fine for the bosses. The mechanic additions are fine for the bosses. What's not feeling great, the one unique item dropping from the loot table out of the droppable uniques from a boss is making it so your target farm is already pretty bad, especially when there's not really a way to farm the boss mat materials outside of Grigor and the Helltide and Blood of Zir within doing the Blood Maiden event, but it is not nearly as effective as hunting for the Grigor mats. And then Whisper caches are going to give you some mixed amount of any mats for any particular event, but that's kind of a mixed bag there. You never know what you're going to get. But in my experience there, I was only ever really able to run Grigor. I ran one Varshan, and then I was also able to run one Duriel since I was able to farm enough Grigor mats to run him enough. So I think the boss mats need to be increased. A farmable method for each of the boss mats needs to be introduced for those low tier bosses, so you can actually get to the high tier bosses, because right now it's just not viable, and will take way too long, and it's going to make the journey in the end game feel not very smooth, especially when all you can do is run Helltides and try and do Whisper caches with the occasional Nightmare dungeon. Another problem with the bossing in the Torment tiers is when it comes to getting those greater affixes you need to kind of upgrade your power in the end game, getting those greater affixes on uniques is going to be very difficult, because unless you're getting the guaranteed greater affix from Belial, we're already lacking boss materials. We're only getting one drop from the boss loot table now, and we're not getting a greater affix guaranteed. The progression throughout the Torment tiers is going to start to feel, I think, a little chunky here, since we're not going to get everything we're looking for in the method before where we had tons of boss materials. We could grind out the bosses and eventually find some greater affixes on those uniques. And this is when you were grinding in tier 4, for example, in season 7. Now you're going to be grinding tier 2 where you're getting less unique drops already, trying to get these uniques so you can move to the next tier. And now you're going to get 1 drop from the drop table, and then maybe 1 more if you have a full party, because you get that extra 33% chance to get another drop from the table per party member. I really don't like this change for that, because maybe you want to run solo. They're forcing, again, this group play mentality, which there is no problem with group play, but forcing it to be like, if you want better odds of getting more drops from this table, you need to play with people. I don't like the pushed motive of having to do this to get a better chance of maybe finding an item you want from one of the boss runs you're doing. Don't make it so it's a problem now that if you want to get more stuff, you need to run with people. I don't think it doesn't really make sense, especially since you're not sharing boss materials anymore, to force a group play mechanic to get more drops. That's my opinion. I think the boss's one-shot mechanics could be better telegraphed. I know when Duriel killed me, it's a fine fight, but when he did kill me, it is very, very, very difficult to see him when he's in his underground phase, as it meshes with the ground so well. And so just a little more clarity on things. And then lastly, the pit changes with the difficulty in the torment tiers, I think is probably not that good. So hear me out. What I've heard is a pit 100 is about a pit 130 in the current season. There's not a lot of builds that are running pit 130, and that is the pit 100. I think Blizzard needs to go, okay, pit 100, this is aspirational content. This is what we want people to do. Fine. But you need to balance the builds you have in the game and not balance it around the seasonal mechanics, so everyone can actually try to push to this using multiple builds, not just the meta builds. So I think I will try season 8. I am going to say I'm not overly optimistic about this artificial increase in progression by slowing everything down. I guess we'll see how it plays out in the new season at the end of April. We're going to have to play through it, see what we can kind of achieve. I will probably stream at least the first day, or at least the first week of it coming out. If it doesn't really appeal to me, we'll probably move back to Last Epoch or PoE 2. And then I'll just grind the season journey off stream, just even if it's worthwhile. If there's nothing worthwhile in the season journey, there's a good chance I may just say it's right off the season, but I'm gonna give them a chance. The PTR is coming to an end. Hopefully they balance things out and make the experience better than I thought it was in the PTR, because I didn't use the booster, and without using the booster, it didn't feel like I was going to be getting enough power to really do much, and trying to get the gear that I needed also seemed like it would have taken forever. So what are your thoughts on season 8 of the PTR? Do you think season 8 is going to be a good season? Do you think Blizzard really shot themselves in the foot with this season? I want to hear what you think, and leave a like and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more content like this. But that's it for me on Diablo 4 till season 8 comes out. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll catch you next time. Take her easy, everyone.